Hello again. Welcome back to Orange Therapy on YouTube. My name is Julie. I am a professional counselor in South Carolina, and today we're going to continue on with the series from Brenè Brown's book, Atlas of the Heart. And today we're covering what she explored in Chapter 3. What happens when things don't go as planned? What emotions do we experience when things don't go as we had planned or hoped for? And we're going to explore boredom, disappointment, expectations, regret, discouragement, resignation, and frustration. Sit back. Let's learn about these emotions that happen when things don't go as planned. And let's do that together. All right, so one of the places that we go when things don't go as planned is to boredom. Now, boredom is an emotion that we're probably all familiar with, and as parents, we're entering into the summer months, and you will hear the cries from children, "Mom, I'm bored," or "Dad, I'm bored." And we think boredom is a bad thing, that we need to be entertaining people at all times. You know, boredom is the uncomfortable state of wanting to do something, to be engaged in something, but not having anything to do. And so it doesn't feel great. But boredom itself is actually beneficial. Boredom leads to that state where our mind wanders a little bit and creativity is born. So out of boredom comes these great creative games and stories that children tell. It's where adults sit back and think of new ideas for things to do. They're bored. They're going to figure out something new. So boredom, again, is that feeling that I just don't have anything to do. I'm uncomfortable. I'm waiting. I'm wanting to engage and do something that I enjoy. That's boredom. It's not good or bad. It just is. Like most emotions, remember these emotions are indicator lights on the dashboard of our life to help to inform us so that we can take action if we want to change them. We need to understand what's going on, what's causing it, so that I can make a change. Not just so I can say, this is what I'm feeling and I'm stuck. All right? The next feeling that she explores in her book is disappointment. Disappointment comes from unmet expectations. And the more significant the expectation, the more significant the disappointment. I'm going to give you an example from early on in my own marriage. I grew up in a home where we would go for a drive and then we would go for a hike, and maybe we would even have a picnic. We certainly would always have a snack with us, always have something to eat, because my dad likes to have snacks. So do we all. So we would go for a drive, but we would go for a hike. So when Dad would say, "Let's go for a drive," we knew we were going for a hike. Well, I got married, and my husband would say, "Let's go for a drive," and I'd get all excited. We're going to go and get snacks. We're going to go for a hike, and we would go out and we would go for a drive, and we'd be driving for a couple of hours, and then we'd end up back home. And he wouldn't understand why I was disappointed. I was disappointed because my expectations weren't met. But I hadn't expressed to him what my expectations were, so he had no opportunity to be able to meet my expectations for that event. And it happened actually many times before I finally said to him, I would actually like to stop and get out and move around, because when I was growing up, going out for a drive meant that we were going to go for a hike. So that's disappointment, unmet expectations. Brenè talks about stealth expectations. Brenè talks about the fact that if we don't express our expectations, if we don't explore unmet expectations, we can't grow closer. She says, when someone shares their hopes and dreams with us, we're witnessing deep courage and vulnerability. Celebrating their success is easy, but when disappointment happens, it's an incredible opportunity for meaningful connection. My disappointment in that moment allowed my husband and I to explore the differences in our upbringing. But it took courage for me to explore that with him, because I wasn't really sure why I was so upset myself. But once it was discovered and we explored, we had a deeper and meaningful connection. It takes courage to be vulnerable. It takes courage to explore disappointment, to find out where the expectations were, to express that, to be able to connect in a deeper way. The next emotion that she explores is regret, and it is similar to disappointment, but in that it's based on what I thought would happen, but it's different because we believe the outcome was caused by our inactions. I regret saying that to somebody. I regret doing that thing. But what research has discovered is regret most often is experienced by people when they don't do something. It's an inaction. I regret that I didn't speak up sooner because I could have had years of a closer relationship. I regret I didn't leave that abusive relationship earlier because I had all of those years of being abused and it took me so long to heal. I regret not taking that job or not traveling. The regret is an emotion that we experience that is disappointment caused by something we did or didn't do. And it's very informative. When we feel regret or we hear regret from somebody else, we can then move to action, because I can continue to have that regret. I regret that I didn't speak up for myself, but I don't learn from that and I don't ever speak up. I continue to have regret. Regret doesn't feel good. There's also an idea in our society that we should live with no regrets. Well, that's not good either. Brenè says the idea of no regrets doesn't mean living with courage. It means living without reflection. To live without regret is to believe we have nothing to learn, no amends to make, no opportunity to be braver in our lives. Regret's informative. Regret is a part of a growth mindset. When we regret not taking action before, it does give us the opportunity to change that. So when we reflect on our lives and we have regrets, we have the opportunity to change. So in that way, again, that informative light on our dashboard to allow us, okay, I'm feeling regret. What can I do? This is a result of something I did or didn't do. And so I can move to make a change. Resignation is an emotion that is felt when we don't feel like we have any power to make any changes. It's a hopeless emotion. It's when I've lost my confidence to move and to know that any future effort is going to make any difference at all. That's resignation. I have just resigned to this is just the way it's going to be. The most common phrase here would be, it is what it is. If we reflect, we might be able to see where resignation is an outflow of unexplored regret. If I can look at my resignation, it is what it is. Well, what is? Is there anything I can do? I regret that I haven't yet. Well, wait, I can. So again, can be informative, can lead to change. But resignation is that sense that I have lost all hope. I've lost motivation. I've lost the ability even to persist to make a change. To be frustrated is to feel that something is stopping me from achieving my desired outcome. Something is in my way and I need to get there. It's something that we can see a lot with children that are learning new tasks. They get frustrated and they might even growl a little bit. They're like, oh, I just can't do it. Well, it's even experienced with adults. We get frustrated. Have you ever been working on your computer and it's just not responding like you wanted it to, and you can't figure out what you're doing wrong? You can't get the program to run. And you get so frustrated, and the feeling of, you might be resigned then, it is what it is, I'm never going to make this work, and somebody points out just that one more little thing that you need to do, suddenly the frustration is gone because I was able to achieve what I needed to. It's a very uncomfortable feeling, but it's something that's preventing me from achieving my desired outcome. I become frustrated. These are all emotions that we experience when things don't go as planned. They're all worth investigating and evaluating to see how we can maybe change outcomes, to see how we can manage our emotions more appropriately during those times. When we're frustrated, when the emotion of frustration is high or wisdom is low, we might snap. We need to evaluate, what do I feel when I'm starting to feel frustrated? What are the sensations in my body? And I can learn to cope with these feelings a little bit better. We've talked about the importance of emotional regulation, the tools we can use to calm down. Frustration is one of those emotions that leads to high expressions of emotionality, where discouragement and regret and boredom are a quieter sensation. Frustration often leads to an outburst of expression. Tell me what you think about these emotions. Maybe share when you've experienced some of these emotions. When has disappointment risen up in your life? When have you had unmet expectations that when you explored, you were able to express? All emotions are valuable. And as one of my favorite theorists, Mr. Rogers, says, if it happens to a human being, we are allowed to talk about it. And all of these emotions are happening within all of us on any given day. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, mash that like button, subscribe, share, so that other people can learn about their emotional experience, that what they're experiencing is common to humanity, and they are human beings. And as a human being, you are welcome here exactly as you are.